Hello, good evening. Welcome to another show. My name is Chris from Rebound. Tonight, on this lovely Saturday evening, I'm joined with Reading Rockets star Nick Richard. I see he's sporting his university gear. Welcome, Nick. Welcome to the show. Hope you're well.
Everything's going good. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm doing okay. I think it's a shout out to Upstreamedia for finding this platform. It's definitely keeping me busy with do the daily shows on all things British basketball. And great to have you on with your experience of Reading Rockets, and obviously the seasons you've had them, and also your background coming into the game before coming to the UK. How what have you been up to? Been up to much with staying safe, or is the lockdown starting to be a bit lifted where you are?
Well, it's pretty much lifted a little bit. Obviously, like a lot of the essential places are open, um, but a lot of other places are closed. So really, I've just been, I have a basketball court at home, so I've just been working out outside. I have a ball, so I'm just making sure like I keep my game sharp, spending time with family, and I'm using this time to work on some business opportunity as well. So, I'm using this free time to just get things situated so whenever this lockdown ends and then the gym start opening, then I can, just jump right back in the mix.
Definitely, it's important to try and make the most of it while we can. So it's a unique opportunity and also difficult time. So it's that balance, obviously trying to be productive and also being okay with yourself when you're not, because obviously it is difficult at the moment. I thought we'd start with your time with Wimbledon University. I thought maybe to sort of enlighten the audience a bit about the setup there and sort of a few highlights of your time there.
Well, yeah, so I finished my last 2 years at Wilmington University. I started my first 2 years at Kirkwood, and Wilmington University is in Delaware, where I'm from. So, I mean, I spent my first 3 years, when I graduated high school, I spent 3 years away from home. And I was lucky to win a championship at Kirkwood. And I had a couple offers in the Midwest area from Division Ones and Division Twos, but I missed my family, and I knew that I wanted to play professionally, so I decided to come home and finish my last 2 years here at Wilmington University, playing under Coach Burke. And I think it was a good decision. Coming in my junior year, we had a pretty good team. I knew my role coming in, and luckily, we was able to break a couple of records my junior year. And unfortunately, we lost in the first round. But I was able to play my game and playing under Coach Burke. He put me on that platform to showcase my talent. I played a lot of minutes. I had the ball in my hands, and I played with some great players. So they helped me look good, and overall, we helped each other. Um, like the school is maybe 10 minutes away. They don't have dorms, so I was living at home. But in terms of gym access, I have gym access with my key card. We have a weight room, a good strength coach in Mike Womer. Um, and overall, I think it was a good setup to spend my last 2 years. Like I said, I was able to play a lot of minutes. I was able to have the ball in my hands, and we won a lot of games. So, my last 2 years of college, being as though I wanted to play professionally, I think it was a good setup.
Awesome. I say, as a fan myself, see, it's a different world to me. But we had Travis Charles on yesterday, and he was quite the importance of having a good setup. And it sounded like what you had there is quite good to be able to use the gym, knowing the coach, and obviously the home comforts must have really helped with some of that support network around you. Um, I say, what was the best bit about your time there? Was there a real highlight that you'll sort of keep with you going forward? Or,
Um, I think the best part was, besides opening a new level of my game, playing under Coach Burke, as mentioned. I think just being able to have the support of my friends and family. Like a lot of my family wasn't able to see me in college, like my first years, because I played in Iowa, which is about I think a 13 or 14-hour drive. Um, so a lot of them didn't get to see me play, and the only time they did see me play was my sophomore year during the national tournament. And my friends never got to come see me play, so a lot of them haven't seen me play since maybe high school, unless I played in the summer league or something like that. But competitively, a lot of them haven't seen me play since high school, so they know I work out every day. They know I take this stuff very serious, and I aim to get better every summer, every day. So for them to see how I'm playing in college compared to how I was playing in high school, it was a big adjustment. And A lot of my family members they and friends, they'd be front row, or they'd be at almost every away game, every home game. So just having that support, knowing that you're playing for a bigger reason, like obviously you want to play to win, you want to play to because you love the game, you do good, but when things are going tough, and then you know that your family is there to support you, your friends are there to support you every game. That just makes you want to go harder.
Definitely. How did you manage to obviously go from an environment where your friends, family on your doorstep to obviously traveling abroad, playing abroad? What were your expectations going in during Red One? It was obviously a drastic change, continents, and also not having your family there watching you game by game.
Well, like I said, like when I graduated high school, I went to school in North Carolina. I went to prep school, and then I spent 2 years in Iowa. So, I kind of had a feeling of what it was like to be away from my family, not having that support. But obviously, it's nothing like being in a different country. So it was an adjustment at first. Being it was like a 5 hour time difference, so it was a big adjustment at first, and then there were some games that weren't streamed. Sometimes, like my family would have to work late, or didn't have access to watch my games, so that was a big adjustment. But I think overall, just knowing my bigger picture, like they embrace me, they know my journey, they know the time I put into this. So they said, however far you are away from us, whether we can or can't watch, like just know we're rooting for you, that we're supporting you. So deep in my head, on games where I know, like, there wouldn't be streams, or my mom or my little brothers couldn't be able to watch me, like just knowing, like, okay, they're still supporting me, they're still rooting for me, even though they can't. After the game, I'll update them, let them know how it goes. But it was definitely a big adjustment. But I think over time, I got used to it, and a lot more games were streamed than I thought it would be. So that kind of helped a lot.
Definitely, I say this season has been a big jump in live streaming from obviously Reading. Quite fortunate after a great dive through the Reading live games, but obviously you've got NBL live, and they started doing a package of one game every few weeks. And I think a few of your days were caught, especially away games Solent. And obviously this channel itself does streaming services. Obviously, so obviously a few of your games were caught on camera, so that must be quite good for your family to watch at home. And yeah, the amazing thing is,
Mm.
people didn't aren't aware, Nick to average for the leaders in points, he averages 22.2 points a game, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals, 0.5 blocks. So he had an amazing season over here, sort of contributing all round. I was wondering what was one of the few highlights for you from this season. What are the games you really enjoyed being part of, and see your highlights from the season?
I think, well, first, I think the cup game, where we played Solent, I think that was a highlight. Unfortunately, we lost, but a lot for my teammates. That was, our first cup game, our first cup final, I should say. So I'm just being in that type of atmosphere against a very good team. We got to experience that for the first time. And memories like that will last forever, win or lose. What I mean, the fact that we made it, that we had to go through 3 or 4 teams to get there, and not, like I said, like not everybody gets to do that. So the fact that we was able to experience that, I think that we're going to cherish that, and then look forward to hopefully going back, wherever, whatever team we're with, or wherever country we're with, if they have cups. Like, I think that's something like everybody's looking forward to. um I think every time we played Solent, it was a good test, because they were one of the better teams in the league. So I think, one of those games like that, that you got to bring your all, you got to give it your all. So those are definitely exciting games. Um, and I think, towards the end of the season, when we played Essex, after they had they made some adjustments with their roster, bringing in a couple BVL guys, and I believe that game went to overtime. And unfortunately, we lost that one. But just that type of atmosphere, those big plays, those big time moments during the game. I think that was a very fun game.
Definitely, you mentioned some really good games there, and I say it was a bit of a challenge for Reading in that cup final to show short-handed, because obviously you lost AJ early on the season, you got Leonin, but you weren't able to play him, so it's a shame that you couldn't field the strongest team. But I'd say it was a good individual performance. You did quite well. I think there's a third quarter you were on fire if you're shooting, lots of those shots going in. So it was a good personal performance, albeit not a great team performance. I think, mate, also, obviously, we all talk about the highlights, but I was wondering what challenged the world. So obviously, there would have been a few challenges as well, highlights during that season for you. What are the adjusting points that you may coming into it weren't expecting and sort of had to maybe adjust a bit to overcome them?
Um, I think I think the biggest challenges was just getting used to a new setting. Like I said, I spent 2 years away from home. But when I was away, my roommates they had cars, so I had access to that as well. The recovery, we had cold tubs, we had physical trainers, so I had access to that. Like whenever I was hurt or tired, I had the access to get treatment. Same thing when I was home. Like I had here in Delaware, I have my own car, so being able to maneuver whenever I wanted to, that was that's the luxury of having your own car. Um, Going to the gym, having access to the gym even outside of practicing games. Like I said, physical trainer, coach hub, and a couple other places that I use for recovery. And then going overseas, I knew exactly what it was coming in because I had friends that played overseas. I studied this. I wanted to know the ins and outs of this, so I was prepared. Coming into England. But I think not having your own car, it wasn't really a challenge because eventually we was able to figure out like the bus schedule and rides from people in the organization, and then we eventually got a team car, so we end up getting that challenge out the way. But it's still when you want to get out the house and you have your own car, it's just nothing to walk downstairs and get in your own car compared to having to call somebody or text somebody. um and then having to put in extra work. I'm somebody that likes to grind, so extra work is very important to me. And sometimes like the gym wasn't always open, or I didn't have the luxury of going to the gym. Just a lot of routines that I built throughout college that I would like to translate to the pro level that I wasn't able to do. But eventually, once I figured out time schedules, I was able to figure out my own little schedule to where I could still get the same amount of work in, or get some type of work in at least.
Definitely, I say obviously it's always good to challenge the diversities. And I think sometimes we take things for granted when we're in a new situation. Like, wow, that was really important to me. Like you say about having the car, be able to go places. I thought we'd delve a bit more into that Essex game because, like you said, Essex sort of upgraded their roster, as you say, from BBL players. Um, from that game specifically, who were like the toughest players to play against? Who was tough as the guard? And a bit of the highlights from the game was like certain plays for all that went really well, but maybe others you thought, oh gosh, I wish we did that a bit differently.
I'm sorry, repeat that again.
So I thought, so you mentioned that the Essex Hearts and Leopards game was a highlight for you. I thought maybe we could delve a bit more into why it was a highlight. Because you mentioned about their roster, they obviously got some more experienced guys, BBL guys. What was it like playing against them?
It was good. Whenever you're taking guys from the BBL and bringing them down for whatever reason, whether that's age or things happen. You always want to play your best, no matter what. But one thing about Essex is they always played hard, even without those players. When we played them, I believe we played them 2 or 3 times before that, and they always played hard. Like every game we played them, it was a gritted out type of game. Where things had to be adjusted in the second half. So they're one of those teams that play hard no matter if they had them or not. So adding them, you know, I guess a couple of them had that championship pedigree, or came from a winning team and a winning culture, so they knew exactly how to handle certain situations. Bringing them down from the BBL to the NBL, and then on top of already having the 6, 7 guys that already played hard before them, I think that it just made them a better team for the league. Unfortunately, they joined late, so they couldn't make a run, as early as they wanted to. But like I said, when you take guys from the BBL and bring them into the NBL, I think you should expect, that you're going to get their best. You're going to get a different level of competitor, a different skill set, and overall, it just makes the game a lot funner. You know what I mean? And it was, I think, that was our first overtime game, or maybe our second, because we didn't have many. But compared to how the games usually went when we played against them, and then bring it those three, and then it came down to last second shots, or some timely winning plays. It was one of the funner games.
Definitely, and let's say obviously Essex improved their roster, some guys coming in, and obviously, it would have been a great game. And obviously, it's a shame you guys didn't get to do playoffs. But I felt really sad for you guys because I think you had some really good games coming up. I think you still had to play Hemel, Loughborough. I think it was Thames Valley maybe as well. Not sure. There's three teams in playoffs, and it would have
it
been
was
nice to see how you guys
yeah, it was Worthing,
has
Hemel,
it, Mervyn.
and Loughborough. Yeah, I think so.
That's
Went Loughborough, Worthing, and then Hemel, I believe. So yeah, those were going to be our last three games, and then we was, I believe, sitting at six for a playoff spot.
yeah,
So
yeah, definitely those games would be very pivotal in shaping the playoffs. And obviously, shame we didn't get to see the playoffs. I think we would have seen a really good competitive season, be a really lots of great teams like yourself and those ones you
mm.
mentioned. And a shame we didn't see those games. Um, you mentioned obviously James Stonen. I was wondering your opinion on maybe who are the toughest players you played against to guard like one on one this season. Maybe a few guys you thought they were really tough to play against and you really enjoyed those one on one clashes with.
well, I think, like you mentioned, I averaged 22 points a game. So anybody above me, like the people who were, I think I was fifth. So anybody that was top four, I always look forward to playing against if they were my position. Mike Williams from Hemel, that was a good competitor that when we played them, that was a good game. Um, and basically anybody one through four I look playing against, because like anybody who can score, you want to give your best effort on defense. When you have two Americans going at each other, it just makes the game a lot more fun. Like that competitive nature, wherever they're from in the states, they got there for a reason. You know what I mean? So whatever load that they have, whatever responsibility that they have, being able to put the ball in the basket is a true skill. So when you have when you have two players going against each other that can do that, it just makes the game a lot more fun.
Definitely, and I say a lot of the players who obviously did quite well were the import guys. So obviously it's great having them in, say yourself, competing one
Mm.
on one again, and obviously it makes it a great spectacle. Um, you talked a bit about the live streaming games. I wonder what go to your home games, sort of what looking back when you watched it back, what was like your favourite to watch there? If you had to pick one in particular, in terms of like watching it back, say there's been some good live stream games where you guys been involved in either with your home games at Reading or the ones on the road.
You're saying the best game to watch live?
Yeah, yeah, that you've been involved in.
I'd say I'd say Hemel. When we played Hemel, that was a good game to watch. Um, Hemel, and then when we played Thames Valley, the first game and the second game, I think was pretty decent. Um, trying to think. Hemel for sure, Solent for sure. Uh, I think pretty much all the teams that were top four, top four in the standings. I think every time we played them, definitely the Worthing game when we played Worthing, I think that was a good game. At the time, I think they were ranked above us, so I think coming into that game, it was a pretty good one. They had Awomi and then Isaiah Taylor, and then they had the young kid. Um, so it was just a pretty good game, like having that atmosphere. Um, two teams that are neck and neck in terms of standing and what players can do. I think that came down to a lot of time he plays and making the right decision. So definitely the Hemel game, Solon game, and Worthing
Yeah,
and Thames
definitely.
Valley.
So Ted Valley. So
Yeah.
to the last few mentioned Ted Valley, you won 93, 108, I think it was, and that was obviously streamed on this channel. So if you guys listen to it all, I didn't see that game. Obviously, head back to the channel. You can watch that one back, and obviously wherever it goes reached, like she mentioned about Alex Rumi, who's now gone into the ownership, and Cameron Hildreth, who's definitely an exciting British prospect. What do you think about him? Because obviously he's very good talent for people who don't maybe not aware, but he's definitely one to watch for the future.
His skill set is good. I'm a competitor, so I usually don't give a lot of credit. to a lot of other basketball players. But if you got game, you got game. And that's one thing about me. Like if you got game, I'll give you credit. And for him being 17 to put up some of the numbers that he did in a grown man's league, I tip my hat off to him. He can shoot the ball, he can dribble, he can create for others. So being 17, I can definitely see him being able to play in the states. Just seeing the competition here, and I think he has all the tools to be a great player, and he's only going to get better.
Of course, of course. And to say lots of great games you guys are involved in, and obviously, yeah, obviously season end the way we wanted it to. But I thought maybe for maybe some of Reading Rockets fans listening today, I thought maybe you could share maybe a funny memory off court, but maybe they wouldn't be privy to, but something that you'd look back on your time with fondness, your time with Reading Rockets.
I think for the most part, I think it was at our home games. It was a lot more younger kids than anything. So win or lose, having the kids there to support us. Because I don't know if a lot of people know, but we do coaching on the side. We'll go to schools and we'll train a certain amount of kids for an hour, a couple times a week. So over time, we get there from the first week of September, last week of August, something like that, until the season ends. So we're building relationships, with those kids as time goes on. So when they come out to games, you know what I mean. We've already built that relationship, win or lose. They come up to us after the game, say what's up, want a picture taken, autograph. Um, congratulate us or whatever the case may be. You see those smiles on their faces, which that's what the game is about. It's giving back. Because we growing up, we was looking up to somebody. What I mean, whether it's NBA, college, we were looking up to somebody. So being able to give back to what to for what other people brought back to us, it's a great feeling. It's a great feeling. So that's a positive memory that I have. And I think my teammates will say the same. That embracing that moment of just seeing a smile on those kids' faces.
Definitely, I've been lucky to appreciate the game dates that Reading. I went to a game last week, I think, when they played Worthing, and you definitely get that family feel with Bailey. He does keeps the kids entertained by checking the streets to get them to chant a bit louder. And obviously, like you say, coming up to you guys at the end of the game to get a photo or autograph or just to chat. It's great to see, and I think it's one of the good things about basketball in this country. But as that family ethos, I say I'm really great to have you on the show. It's been great talking about Reading Rockets. I thought we'd finish on this little game I do for these players to come on. It's sort of a way for players, fans, sorry, to learn a bit more about the stats. So it sort of tests you on your teammates and yourself performance this year. It's basically a quiz for how well do you know your club with a basketball spin on it, where I ask 5 questions of stats, being points, rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks. And like in a basketball game, you get a choice of an easy shot or tough shot for 3 points. So, starting with points, do you want an easy question or a tough one?
Tough one.
Tough one. So, sorry, Matthias Boho led all of the Reading Rockets players in 3 point percentage, but who got the most threes in a single game?
A single game, most threes. Um,
Yeah.
was that Ben Dixon?
No, he was close. It was AJ Carr in the away loss to Kestrels. Obviously, he started the season with you guys, and obviously finished with injury. I think he got, I think it was 6 or 7. He was really on fire that day for you guys. So,
Seven, and then Ben had five, I believe, right? Ben had five.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, yeah, definitely a lot of 3 point shooters on your team. We talked a bit about that Kestrel game, the away one for you. Um, how was it for you? 'Cause, watching it, you guys definitely enjoyed that game when you were getting the points in, and it was a very competitive day. I also want maybe some of your memories from it.
Are you talking about the cup game or the first time we played them?
So the league one, the first game in the league where you guys
Right.
travelled to
Okay.
Poland. So you mentioned, so I was sort of saying, what were your memories from it? Just from watching it, you to see how locked in you guys were, how competitive the game was, and how you were sort of cheering each other on. I just wonder what your thoughts were about that game and bits that were stuck in your memory for you.
I think that game was pretty good. They had a good crowd. And like I said, they're one of the better teams out of the league. So, that whole week we were preparing for them. We knew it would be a test, and we knew it wouldn't be nothing easy. No game ever is when when you're in a league with grown men and full of competitors. We started off the game pretty good. We made some adjustments as time went on. And AJ Carr, he had a really good game that game. It's funny because before that game, we always talked about like what was the highest amount we scored. He said he never had got past 29 or something like that. And I think that game he was doing so good, and unfortunately he wasn't able to get past 29. And that was one of the funny moments because it's like you're so close to breaking your career high. And if you just look back at the game, you think, dang, if I would have made this free throw or made that layup or, got that rebound and put it back, it's just the little plays that equal up to a lot. But that was one of the funner games because of that, not only because of the atmosphere, but any game where you have to give your all, when it comes down to it, and you're fighting, you're going back and forth, and then basketball is a game of run, so they made a run, we made a run, it's going back and forth. So those are fun games and fun games to be a part of.
Definitely, it was evident that you guys were giving it all and were locked in, and it was a really great contest. So we move on to rebounds. Do you want an easy or a tough question?
Let me get a tough one, man. You got me in the last. Let me get a tough one.
Yeah, okay. So Liam Davis led all the Reading players in average rebounds, but in how many NBL one games did he get a season high of 13 rebounds?
I'm gonna say, was it three?
It was three, yes. So it was against Essex Hearts Leopards, Liverpool, and Worthing away, which you mentioned earlier, which you guys won 81-100. Obviously, talked a bit about that game. And we talked a bit about the Essex game. I thought maybe we could look a bit about Liverpool away game, because obviously that was another one that was streamed live. And a bit about that game, she did really well in the Liverpool game. Is there any you remember some of that sort of when you look back at the game, you thought, oh gosh, that really well, or maybe we didn't do so well with that play. Also, your thoughts on that game?
Well, I think it's a good game. Uh, it's those teams that don't really have that many American players. They kind of have that upside because they're gonna want to prove themselves. They're gonna want to try harder. So games like those, you have to remember, like, they might be down a competitor, or a player, but they're gonna go 110%. You know what I mean? And I believe that game it was pretty close, neck and neck until maybe like the final 4 or 5 minutes. They made a lot of shots. They got a lot of, they went to the line a lot. We weren't able to capitalize on a lot of possessions that we had. Um, I think during the game, when you think about situations like those, you think, dang, like we're so close to losing, or, we need this one stop, or we need this basket right here. But when you like after the game, you realize like that's a fun game to be a part of. You know what I mean? Like the games where you win by 20, 25, 30, those aren't really as fun as, the knit and grit games where it comes down to where you're testing a player's true ability to get a stop, or stay level headed, or make the right decisions. And that was definitely one of those games where you're just fighting down to the last 2 3 minutes, and it's all about one stop, one possession at that point.
Definitely, I say that was one game I watched. Say Liverpool, one of the teams we mentioned earlier about doing live stream. It's something I could. I was watching theirs, and their production's quite good with multiple cameras, and it's definitely a good one to watch. So we move on to assists. Do you want another tough question or an easy one?
Let me get an easy one.
Easy one. So you led all Red and Rocket players with average assists. We mentioned you got 4.2 assists per game. What game did you get your NBL season high?
Ooh. Um, was it was it Thames Valley with 7 or 8?
No, it was close by geographically. It was Westminster Warriors, where you got double figures, so you had a really good day that game. So well done in that one. I say obviously you did quite a lot of games, like you say, Ted, you got 7 or 8. So you had a really good season with this. Um,
Mm,
try and oh sorry. So now we move on to steals. Do you want an easy or a hard question?
hard.
Hard one. So first Hemel Storm, you got a season high of 7 steals. Two Reading Rockets players got an NBA high of 5 steals. Can you name them?
Um, was it Matthias and Ben?
Ben Ditch got 5 versus was it? But no, Pal Mayer who versus Essex Heart Steppers got 5 as well. So close. And we move on to blocks. Do you want an easy or a tough question?
Easy.
Easy. So sorry, who led all Reading Rockets players for average blocks this season?
Liam Davis.
Yeah, correct, Jay. You've got 1 block a game. I say for me, I thought it was quite interesting. Liam joined your team on loan for Bristol Flyers. Um, for me, I think it's quite a strange thing to see a loan move. Is that the same for you, or does that happen abroad as well? Players sort of move clubs on loan, or was that something that was a bit of a head scratch for you coming in?
It wasn't really a head scratcher because in the states we have the NBA and the G League. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
as a fan, of those type of games, we're well aware of people going on, 10 day contracts and being called up and stuff like that. So it's not strange to hear it. But apparently, it was the first time being done in the NBL. So I think that's what made it weird for everybody. Like how can this guy sign to Bristol but then play his first year with the Reading Rockets? But as an American, used to the NBA and G League type of style, I think those are the stuff that we're pretty used to.
of course. As I say, it seemed to work out well for Reading to say Liam had a really good season for you. Um, Obviously, some of his affected the blocks, also the dunks. And sorry, I lost my thought. Um, so I was saying, what were your memories of him, his play? What dunks did you remember his that were like, wow, that was a great, good dunk, or that was a really good block? So it was definitely affected both ends of court for you guys.
Um, I know he had a couple dunks against. I want to say it was uh, hmm, Darby. I know he had. I know he had. I think he. I believe he had a putback against Darby. He had a good dunk against Hamill, and when we played Essex the third time, I believe, or the second time. But one thing about Liam, he has good size. He's about 6'7", 6'8", and he's light on his feet. He's very agile, so he can move. He can guard guards. He can guard bigs. So he's able to move laterally. Um, and he's able to run the floor, and a lot of times, when your bigs run the floor, you want to reward them as much as possible. And playing with somebody like that, anytime I get past my defender, I know that I could just lob it up to him, and it's a good chance that he'll make it. I know that in transition, him and I in transition, we have that relationship to where I know he's gonna want to oop almost every time, and he knows that I'm pushing the ball every time. So just being able to have that relationship with Liam, we both know how each other plays, and we know what each other's looking for. So anytime he gets the rebound, I'm leaking out. He knows to give me the ball and run with me, and then we just go from there.
Definitely, I say it was. I watched a few of your games, and it's definitely, like you said, transition. You guys are very quick to get that play done. Sometimes so it was really good to watch. You have a lot of energetic guys like Palmeyer, who around that sort of mid range, getting into position to shoot. So it was great to see. Um, I was wondering, like, in terms of like when you practice it, do you guys practice dunks a lot? And who do you think is the best dunker on the Reading Rockets roster?
Best dunker? Oh, that's me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's me easily. Yeah.
What's your go-to dunk then when you're in practice?
Practice. I think it's just a tomahawk in practice. But Liam Davis has caught a couple bodies in practice. Asher, he's one of the junior players. He's caught a couple sneaky bodies. But overall, in practice is where you're supposed to, work on your game and work on a lot of things that you're preparing for. But oftentimes when we get a fast break in practice, we'd like to do something fun like throw it up the backboard or, oops, that we probably wouldn't do in the game, but it's practice, so
Of course.
it's the energy. So.
Definitely, like you say, you got to mix up. Also, obviously, have your work head on practice for the game going up. What was it like to say Reading are one of the many teams in the league that have the academy as well as the first team? Obviously, that must have made for a really interesting practice. Obviously, you've got more than one team. What are some of your memories from having the juniors with you in
Mm.
terms of practice and having everyone in one roof, as to say?
It was different, but not too different in a sense because here when you're a senior at 21, 22, and then you have teammates who are freshmen like 18, 19, so you're used to playing with younger guys to a sense. But Coach Allen, he did a good job in practice mixing it up. And for the most part, teams were always even every practice. Occasionally we'll do situations where the starting five will have to be, all together and go against some other players. But for the most part, I'd have David Chive on my team sometimes. I'd have Ash on my teams. I'd have Ross, and whatever other juniors there were, I'd have them on my team occasionally. So it was able to be a mixture of, competitive and also, getting the young guys up to speed. But from the time I stepped into the time we left, I was able to see growth in each one of their games. So that's a plus. That's a positive, and that's a feeling that I love to feel forever because when you see growth in the young guys, it just makes me think like I was once their age and I was once in their shoes. You know what I mean? Like looking up to other people, trying to learn as much as possible, just seeing the growth in your game and seeing the growth in their game.
Definitely, and I say there's lots of very exciting young talent coming through. It'd be great to see how they get on next season. Thank you for coming on. Wish you all the best for the future. I thought we'd finish on maybe sort of advice you got for young players during this lockdown, how to sort of stay active. To say in the UK, we're on still pretty much a tight lockdown. Obviously, we took out from once they exercise. I think for players it must be quite difficult, and maybe some of your advice for workouts for them to do while they're still under this lockdown condition.
Well, the only advice I have is that do push-ups. I do 100 to 200 push-ups a day. Just to stay fit. I work on core. It's a lot of stuff that you can work on. Honestly, just look on YouTube. YouTube is your best friend during moments like these. Just look on YouTube. You can find any workout that you want. You could do a lot more at home than what you think. Um, and I know certain countries are on lockdown, but if you can run, go out, hit 2 miles, 3 miles a day, or at least every other day, just so you don't get, out of shape. You want to keep that cardio up to whenever, they do allow gyms to be opened up. You can, get right back into it. You're not tired. If you have a basketball, what I do is I put a plastic bag over a basketball. I actually got that from Kyrie Irving. I put a plastic bag over a basketball. I go outside and I dribble just to work on my handle, and I do have a basketball court. It's not the best, but I'm able to, get some type of shots up and get some type of finishing work in. So I'll use that. I'll work on my layups, my floaters, free throws, things of that nature. So if you have a basketball, a court in your at around your house or somewhere where you can go, I'd say just try to get as much work in as possible. You know what I mean? Even if it comes down to watching film, it's a slow grind. So you can always do something to better your game, whether that's watching film, doing push-ups, working on core, cardio. Just do something to stay active. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be, full throttle every day, but if you can watch film on your best player or your favorite player or a game that you think you could have did better in, learn from your mistakes. And that's basically what I've been
Definitely,
doing. So that would advice for the
that's,
out there.
definitely that's a great message for everyone out there, not even just basketball players. Learn from mistakes, develop and keep that grind going. And say it's difficult, but at the same time, you got to try to use this time productively. I say thanks for coming on the show and all the best. I look forward to seeing where you turn up next season. See you stay safe and I look forward to catching up with you soon. Take care. Bye.
For having me. Thanks.
You are, so thanks for coming on.